All right, we're staying with Eric. All right, so I walk in there. What do I see? Lemon drops. Lemon drops laid out everywhere. I ain't talking about no candy.
There was 2 shot glasses laying on the table.
Check it out. She told me about the beer. So when you picked me up, why didn't you fair warn me?
You had a girlfriend.
She knew about it. We were friends. She trusts me. I'm not like that.
And you called me with his friend telling me that he was there 3 weeks and you guys were having sex and blah, blah, blah. At first, I did believe that. But then I heard his story and none of it. Shut up, I am talking.
Nobody's picking up the phone. I'm walking all around.
So what about when you disappear for days at a time?
I don't disappear. I go to work.
Yes, you do. Every day when you leave out there, your phone not even on. Call while you at work. Then you would know where your son was at. You don't know. Find out at the end of the day.
I just told you where my son was at.
Buckle up for a wild ride. Mr. Buchanan kicks things off with a bombshell, revealing this isn't his first rodeo questioning paternity. He's up to bat again, doubting whether Miss Timberidge's 6-month-old daughter is really his. He's got trust issues galore after past false claims, and now suspects his girlfriend has been too cozy with others, including his former best bud. Stay tuned, the drama ramps up next.
Woman has claimed you are her child's father. First 2 times, DNA testing proved you were not, and you now doubt your girlfriend, Miss Stimbridge's 6-month-old daughter, is yours. She is engaged in sexual affairs outside of the relationship, including with your former friend and roommate.
Here comes the soap opera twist. During a seemingly normal day, a store trip turns into a showdown when Eric, Mr. Buchanan's best friend, drunkenly blurts out that he's been with Miss Timberidge. This shocking claim throws a grenade into the already fragile trust between Mr. Buchanan and his girlfriend, leading to accusations flying faster than a speeding bullet. Brace yourself. It spirals even more out of control up ahead.
One day, this is like...
And Eric is your...
supposed best friend.
Supposed best friend, so you get into a confrontation.
We took Eric up to the door. He was in the back seat already drunk. I mean, why are you getting him beer? You know what I'm saying?
He could have got it himself, Your Honor.
I mean, got into an argument over the beer?
So you're best friends with him then, obviously, if you went in there. But anyways.
You can't make this stuff up. After getting out of the clink, Mr. Buchanan finds himself at the center of a boozy betrayal. Homecoming wasn't sweet with evidence of lemon drops, a drink apparently loaded with more significance than vitamin C. These lemon drops hint at naughty escapades between Miss Timberidge and Eric, making Mr. Buchanan's head spin with betrayal. What's next? Even more jaw-dropping revelations.
All right, so I walk in there. What do I see? Lemon drops. Lemon drops laid out everywhere. I ain't talking about no candy. Check it out. She told me about the beer. So when you picked me up, why didn't you fair warn me when I got home? Why are you gonna let me find out by myself? Because you forgot.
I didn't forget too much. It was still there, weren't it?
Grab your popcorn, folks. Miss McNeil steps into the courtroom with gossip that could fuel a reality TV show for seasons. She claims to have caught Miss Timberidge in quite the compromising position. This bombshell adds yet another layer of scandal to an already sizzling situation. What will the next turn reveal in this tangled web of drama?
Says that you witnessed firsthand some inappropriate behavior.
That was not going on, Your Honor.
When I walked in, all I saw was booty in the air.
Things just got real. The plot thickens with a pregnancy test that's positive, sparking a mix of hope and horror in Mr. Buchanan. He's torn between love for the child and lingering doubts about whose genes are swimming in the little one's DNA. They head for a DNA test that could either tie them together or blow their fragile world apart. Next up, the moment of truth.
We take a pregnancy test because Judge talking about she late. I ain't bleed, I'm late. All right, so we took a pregnancy test. Not like positive isn't like good job. Positive isn't like there's something wrong in there. That's why I'm denying that little girl, man.
It's the grand finale, folks. The results are in, and the courtroom holds its breath.
Mr. Buchanan, you are.
Thank you.
That's a blessing.
Just when you thought it was a regular day in court, Mr. Hardy swings in with full confidence, declaring he's the real father of Taylor, following a jaw-dropping revelation that another dude totally wasn't. He lays out his unshakable belief and the emotional roller coaster it's been, especially after Taylor got wind from her stepmom that there might be a paternity mix-up. Strap in, the drama ramps up from here.
Mr. Hardy, you are here to prove what you have always known. You fathered the defendant's 26-year-old daughter, Taylor. You say your belief proven to be true after Taylor learned another man was not her biological dad in this courtroom.
Come to me and asked me if he was her dad because she said her mother told her that he was not.
How old were you then?
12, 13.
Just when the audience catches their breath, bam! The court drops the bomb that Mr. Jennings is not the father, sparking a wildfire of tension. Ms. Lynn throws shade, calling Mr. Hardy a master of manipulation. While he stands his ground, claiming his fatherly role, Ms. Lynn hints at another possible dad, stirring the pot even more. You'll want to stick around. The twists get twistier.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Jennings, you are not the father. Mr. Hardy, you say Ms. Lynn is a master manipulator who has stopped you from being a daddy to your little girl. Claim the plaintiff is not Taylor's biological father, and you intend to prove that.
There's a possibility between him and one other person.
In a twist that could make a soap opera blush, Mr. Hardy reminisces about the early days of doubt when Ms. Lynn first announced her pregnancy. Despite feeling sidelined by her family, he recounts his undying efforts to be in Taylor's life, showcasing his commitment against all odds. What unfolds next? More juicy details, of course.
The second time she told me she was pregnant, I doubted it because she had already said she was pregnant before.
So you were told she was pregnant before?
Yes, but she wasn't pregnant that time. So I had my doubts the second time she told me she was pregnant. Believe it until I seen for myself that she was pregnant.
Were you there?
Not
Nope.
at all.
Her parents did everything they could to keep us apart. From the time Taylor was about 9 years of age, I didn't get to see her.
Here's where it gets spicy. Amidst Thanksgiving turkey and pies, Taylor gets skeptical about who her real daddy is and decides to turn detective. She dives into a personal quest to uncover her biological roots, ending up sending a direct Facebook SOS to Mr. Hardy. The emotional ante is up, and the next chapter is a doozy.
So how did you find that he might be your biological father?
Maybe I was 23, right around there. I had asked my mom, my boyfriend had mentioned that I looked like it. She didn't want to talk about it, and she locked herself in her room because Thanksgiving's not the time to talk about it, you know? And then so I was just like, well, I'm going to take it upon myself, get in touch with people that was her friends.
Reached out to him and you
Yes.
submitted a message to the court.
Yes.
The courtroom's heating up with explosive confessions and accusations flying faster than a reality TV reunion. Each party is at the edge, grappling with the heavy implications of who knew what about Taylor's real dad. Grab your popcorn. The emotional fireworks are just getting started.
At this point in time, I was led to believe that she knew I was her father and that she didn't want to
So
deal
when
with
you
me.
got the message, you were surprised that she was even in a search.
And you're a damn lie, because I have never once told you that I sat down and told her you were her father. Not once.
You disagree with that, Mr. Hardy?
Yes, ma'am, I do. I was kept away from her. Brandy would move place. There would be years at a time I wouldn't even know where to find her at.
As if the plot needed more thickening, enter Mr. Bryant, another contender for the title of Taylor's bio dad. His arrival throws another curveball into the already muddled paternity mystery, layering on the emotional complexity like a fine dip. The saga continues, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's next.
First day, you had sex with Mr. Jennings. Day 2, Mr. Hardy. Next day, day 3, your doctor had given you a 4-day window of conception.
Yep.
So there is another man who could very possibly be your daughter's biological father. How did you find out about him?
The last time I appeared here, then I asked her what his name was, and I looked him up on Facebook.
Because you don't believe Mr. Bryant.
Yes, I don't think I look like him.
You don't think you look like him. You know him?
I've met him twice.
Just when you think you figured it all out, Mr. Bryant steps up to the plate, swinging with claims that he might be Taylor's pops because guess what? They kind of look alike. His heartfelt belief stirs up all the feels, spotlighting decades of emotional baggage.
Thank you for joining us today. We are here discussing the paternity of this beautiful young woman, Taylor. We've been told that you are a potential biological father. Do you believe you are her biological father?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell the court why.
Because she's got so much resemblance of my daughter. I've been believing it for 26 years. It's time to get it over with, you know.
So for 26 years, you've had this in your heart.
Yes, ma'am.
It's just waiting to be unpacked. The DNA reveal is on the horizon, and it's going to be a blockbuster moment.
It has been determined by this court. Taylor's biological father is Mr. Bryant.
Yes! Yes, I told you!
Fasten your seatbelts. You're not going to believe this. Mr. Webb asserts that he has never been intimate with Ms. Cole, which provokes a strong reaction from the audience. Ms. Cole and her supporters immediately dispute his claim, calling him a liar. The judge expresses surprise, highlighting how unusual it is to hear such a defense. Buckle up, because this roller coaster is just getting started.
I never had sex with her, Your Honor.
Well, that would rule you out. You've never had sex with her?
No.
Yeah, he did.
She's a liar. She's crazy.
We've heard a lot of defenses in this courtroom. Rarely have we ever heard that you've never had sex with her.
She's absolutely crazy.
This next bit is a real doozy. Ms. Cole details a specific instance, claiming that on April 11th, Mr. Webb stayed in her bed and they had intimate violence relations, which she believes led to the conception of her daughter. Mr. Webb continues to deny these claims, asserting that their relationship was purely platonic and that he never slept in her bed. A heated argument ensues, with both parties contradicting each other's stories. Hang on tight, the saga continues.
And I know he stayed with me for 2 months, and he slept in my bed with me for
for one night, and we had sex. April 11th.
That's when you believe you conceived your daughter?
Yeah.
What was the nature of your relationship?
We never had sex or anything. We were just friends. We would chill out. That was it.
You were never intimate with her in any way?
I never stayed in her bedroom. I stayed out on the couch.
That's a lie.
And on top of that, I was only there for a week and a half.
Strap in for more chaos. Ms. Cole and Mr. Webb argue about the nature of his stay at her place, with Ms. Cole asserting that he lived with her for a month and a half, while Mr. Webb insists it was only for a week. The judge attempts to restore order as the argument escalates. Tensions rise as accusations fly back and forth about the nature and duration of Mr. Webb's stay. Just when you think it can't get any wilder, it does.
I wasn't living there. We were hanging out for a week and a half. And on top of that, April 8th, I had moved back to Detroit. How was I there for 3 months?
But why were you staying there with them for a week? You had a girlfriend.
She had knew about it. We were friends. She trusts me. I'm not like that.
And you called me with his friend telling me that he was there 3 weeks and you guys were having sex and blah, blah, blah. At first, I did believe that. But then I heard his story and none of it. Shut up, I am talking.
Fasten your seatbelts. Here's a curveball. Mr. Webb presents a series of messages to the judge that he claims will prove his non-involvement with Ms. Cole. He describes the initial contact and the subsequent messages that escalated to accusations of paternity. The conversation in the messages revolves around the pregnancy and Ms. Cole's claims of Mr. Webb being the father. The next part is a real jaw-dropper.
How this went, the first message, she messaged me saying, hey, I got an ultrasound. I said, okay, can we leave it, Natasha? It's not my baby. I'm trying to do right in my life, and this is not doing either of us any good. So just at this point, I'm thinking, I feel like she's trying to say that I'm the baby daddy, but just hinting, not actually saying. What came next? I told her, I said, I'm not trying to be mean. I just want this to end. Because I'm not a mean person. I'm not a hateful person.
Next up, another whopper. Ms. Cole acknowledges there was another potential father involved around the time of conception. She explains the situation to the judge, including how the due date changes influenced her certainty about the paternity. The judge reviews a calendar submitted by Ms. Cole that outlines the timeline of her interactions with Mr. Webb and the other man. Wait until you hear what comes next.
As soon as I took the pregnancy test, immediately texted him and called the other guy, and I took both of them. For certain that the other guy was the dad until my due date got changed. It went from February 22nd to January 28th.
That is the date you were intimate with Mr. Webb, on the 11th of April.
Yeah, my conception was...
The window of conception is in blue, so that's the week prior to the 11th.
This will crack you up. In a dramatic revelation, Ms. Cole makes a crass remark about Mr. Webb's anatomy to assert her familiarity with him, which is met with mixed reactions from the audience. Her claim is meant to prove intimacy, but it only adds tension and ridicule to the proceedings. The judge struggles to maintain decorum as the court reacts to the inappropriate comment. Get ready for the climax. It's a hoot.
She was dark up until she was
born.
She lightened up.
Can't even.
And this picture is to show what exactly?
That baby don't look nothing like
So you're saying there's absolutely no resemblance?
Absolutely.
That baby's just straight white.
I ain't white, I'm brown.
Yes, he is. He's Puerto Rican and Indian. Yeah, he's brown.
You see my skin color? Are you blind?
You've seen his body, so you know he is
get this girl
brown.
some glasses.
We know that children come in all colors. Moving on. Mr. Webb, you are not father.
Yeah.
Strap in, because this one's a doozy. Mr. Pitchford Kendricks kicks off the proceedings with a bombshell, asserting that he is indeed the biological father of the defendant's 2-month-old son, Javier. He suspects that the paternity denial is simply because the mother wants to be with another man, hoping to convince him to take up the father role. This moment lays the groundwork for what promises to be a roller coaster of emotions and accusations. And trust me, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Opened your case to prove are the biological father of the 2-month-old son. You claim she is denying paternity only because she wants to be with another man and needs to be the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Just when you think you've heard it all, Ms. Saavedra throws a curveball by admitting to a menage a trois that included Mr. Pitchford Kendricks, but remains steadfast in her belief he is not Javier's dad. Her firm denial amidst such a tangled web of bedtime stories highlights the complicated personal entanglements at play. Buckle up, because the emotional whirlwind is just picking up speed.
Ms. Saavedra, you admit you allowed 2 men into your bed at the same time, but you are convinced that Mr. Pitchford Kendricks is not Javier's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
You'll want to grab some tissues for this one. An emotional Mr. Pitchford Kendricks shares his poignant backstory of growing up without a father in Detroit, driven by a resolve to ensure his son doesn't endure the same fate. His heartfelt testimony not only tugs at the heartstrings, but also sets high personal stakes in his quest for paternity truth. And just when you think it can't get more heartfelt, the courtroom is about to turn up the heat.
Well, Your Honor, I grew up in the streets of Detroit, no dad in my life, and I just want to make sure my son doesn't have to grow up.
That's a beautiful basket there. You brought that for your son. You say you grew up without your father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me what that was like growing up, your dad.
It was kind of stressful being in school and seeing my classmates and stuff, having their parents come up there, both of them.
twists and turns are the flavors of the day. The plot thickens as we learn that Ms. Saavedra and the man she believes is Javier's real dad decided to spice up their rocky relationship by inviting Mr. Pitchford Kendricks into the mix. The revelation of their adventurous bedroom escapades adds layers of complexity to the paternity puzzle, proving that this is no ordinary paternity case. Hold on, because the next revelation is a real kicker.
Me and the man that I believe is Javier's father, Maurice, was getting rocky. Decided to include Greg, our mix, and try and spice things up.
So how often was that happen?
It happened
off and on for like 10 years.
What?
You might need a flowchart for this one. Mr. Pitchford Kendricks delves deep into the backstory, explaining how he originally connected Ms. Saavedra with his cousin, which spiraled into a decade of on and off romantic entanglements and threesomes. This tangled tale of relationships gone wild complicates the paternity question even further, painting a picture of a very complicated love web. And believe it or not, it's about to get even wilder.
Well, a half cousin of mine.
A half cousin?
Yeah, he my cousin's cousin.
You were dating a woman, you ended up sleeping with her roommate. You developed a friendship with that roommate, and then she asked you to introduce her to somebody, so you introduced her to your cousin. Her and your cousin invited you into their bed threesome when their relationship needed spicing up.
Here's where it gets spicy. In a critical twist, Mrs. Saavedra pinpoints the night she believes Javier was conceived, linking it to an unprotected liaison during a tumultuous time in her primary relationship. This key moment is crucial for untangling the convoluted timeline of events and may just be the clue to solving the paternity mystery. Fasten your seatbelts, because the courtroom drama is about to explode.
I think Javier was conceived because that's when the unprotected happened. Like the times we had threesomes, I was trying to reach him, you know what I'm saying? So, and wear a condom, but I kind of liked her from the first time I had seen her and stuff, so.
So what are you saying? So when you had the threesomes with your cousin and her, you would wear a condom?
Yeah, for respect for him.
Because that's respect.
The plot thickens, and so does the tension. Ms. Saavedra reaches out to Maurice, her primary partner, upon discovering her pregnancy, setting off a chain of confrontations and accusations about who the real father could be. This segment is a roller coaster of emotions, highlighting the strain and turmoil that paternity uncertainty can wreak on personal relationships. And just when you think it can't get more intense, the next chapter adds even more fuel to the fire.
I contacted Maurice, told him I was pregnant.
Contact the guy that really was your boyfriend. So when you told him you were pregnant, did he say, it's not my baby, it's Mr. Kendrick?
He didn't say anything to the degree at the time. We talked about it later on.
Afterwards, he called me trying to act like, these your babies over here, dog. I'm telling you when I see you on, man. You got me over here taking care of your babies. Cause between both of the babies, like before her first baby was born, that's when the threesome started.
Grab your popcorn, folks. The judge steps in with a conception calculator, attempting to scientifically determine the likely window of Javier's conception amidst the chaos of conflicting testimonies and convoluted personal narratives. This attempt to inject some scientific rationality into the proceedings underscores the court's effort to cut through the emotional fog with some hard facts, and you won't believe what comes next.
Conception calculator, because you all just over the place. So Javier's birthday is January 9th, 2019. Conception window is between 12th and April 18th.
That's not when he was due. He was born early. He was due January 26th.
We was having threesomes.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Pitchford Kendrick, you are not the father.
Can you believe what we're seeing here? Miss Brooks is clearly upset as Mr. Page denies paternity of their son, Ivian, after planning to have this child together. She vividly describes how Mr. Page, a younger man, swept her off her feet following her previous long-term relationship. However, he is now questioning the child's paternity, accusing Miss Brooks of an affair with another man, Tony Wilson. Grab your popcorn, because this is just the start of the drama.
Ms. Brooks, you state, after getting out of a 9-year relationship, you fell in love with Mr. Page, a younger man who you say swept you off your feet. You claim both you and Mr. Page planned to have a child together, but since giving birth to your son, Ivian, Mr. Page is now denying the child you so desperately wanted to have.
Yes, Your Honor.
What's he thinking? Mr. Page is adamant that he isn't Ivian's father, blaming Miss Brooks's frequent outings with Mr. Wilson. His frustration is palpable as he details his work schedule and his growing suspicions about her loyalty due to her evasive behavior and social escapades. The pot is about to boil over, so stick around.
Mr. Page, you state you know the child isn't yours. Ms. Brooks was having an ongoing of another man by the name of Wilson.
Yes.
You say Mr. Wilson, who is also here today, to be the father of her son and has even posted pic on social media. Fact.
Yes, Your Honor.
This just keeps getting thicker. Alongside the paternity mess, Miss Brooks and Mr. Page dive into other boiling issues in their relationship. Mr. Page throws in complaints about Miss Brooks's handling of money, painting a picture of financial chaos and mismatched expectations that have been straining their life together. We'll want to see what happens next. Things are getting spicy.
It's
stimulates from the paternity issues because at first, when we first got together, it was lovely. When I first was pregnant, he did everything. He was there. He was good, like, during the pregnancy, and then everything changed. I think it has a lot to do with
No, everything ain't changed, John. What changed is her coming home at night with her and my son being around Mr. Wilson, her friend.
Did that really just happen? As Mr. Page airs his doubts, he points to the supposed timeline of his relationship with Miss Brooks, suspecting infidelity during the conception period. He brings up a social media post by Mr. Wilson that suggests a much closer relationship with both Evian and Miss Brooks, intensifying his doubts. The next revelation is a doozy. Don't miss it.
So you feel like she was cheating on you sometime during the window of conception.
Yes,
Tell me about that doubt.
She knew Black longer than she knew me, so they've been messing around or whatever they've been doing. I know Black's Facebook page is dedicated just to her and my son. And I have evidence right here saying that.
That is just my friend. We take
Tell me if that looks like a relationship or a friendship.
Buckle up, this ride is getting wilder. The courtroom scrutinizes photos and social media updates that show Mr. Wilson with Evian, implying he's more than just a friend. Mr. Page sees these as confirmation of his suspicion about the nature of the relationship between Miss Brooks and Mr. Wilson. Wait till you see what comes out of the woodwork next.
These are all photos of you.
All dedicated to
Mr. Wilson. That's the baby in there?
That's just a picture of me and them.
It's one of his file pictures.
Yes, I'm the best thing that's...
I mean, look at that.
And then that's Mr. Wilson, Evian.
He is really upset because...
How's he been there?
Because you're not.
With him. Milk, I buy what I got.
When you're not there, he is there. Mr. Page does things, but he does the bare minimum.
You thought it couldn't get more heated? During a fiery exchange, Miss Brooks and Mr. Page go head-to-head over her interactions with Mr. Wilson. He accuses her of neglect, while she argues that Mr. Wilson has been a pillar of support. Things are about to get even more heated. Keep watching, because the gloves are coming off.
Mr. Wilson walks around my son. He does not let it be known that he's not the father. He does not let it be known that he's the father.
But how is that my fault?
He's his. You're right with him. What do you
How is that my fault? No, and you know about that.
And
I'm talking to you. Your Honor, right now.
And he's walking around telling them they're having sex.
Who's he telling this to?
Mr. Wilson does go around saying that he had sex with me. I did not know that. If I recently found out.
I heard it from her.
Of course, because
and they're
I'm
still
upset
best
about
friends.
this. Because
just when you think you've seen it all, Mr. Wilson steps up, testifying about his godfather-like relationship with Evian and insisting he hasn't crossed any lines despite Mr. Page's accusations. His testimony could change everything. Keep your eyes peeled because this is a pivotal moment.
Please describe for the court your relationship with Miss Brooks.
Oh, we're still best friends. One of the fellas. That's my homie, except for she a female.
What is your relationship like with her son?
I'll be honest, that's my godson. I love him. On my lunch breaks, stop past Sam. I spend time with him, take him to the park. How would that be allowed? You never there. You too busy playing the game, chilling with your homeboys and friends.
You won't believe this twist. The spotlight turns to Mr. Page's frequent absences and his alleged lack of involvement with Evian. Miss Brooks accuses him of minimal participation, which he defends by citing his job demands and limited time. Climax is coming up, and it promises to shake things up significantly.
Every time I go to work, my son go over his house. One night, I was calling him from my job, but once I get off, I can't get a hold of him. When I get to the house, my son is not there. She's not there. Nobody's picking up the phone. I'm walking all around.
So what about when you disappear for days at a time?
I don't disappear. I go to work.
Yes, you do. Every day when you leave out there, your phone not even on. Call while you at work. Then you would know where your son was at. You don't know. Find out at the end of the day.
I just told you where my son was at.
Here comes the moment of truth.
It has been determined by this court. You are not the father.
Told you. Told you.
Hold on to your seats. Mr. Kennedy makes a theatrical entrance claiming he's dragged into court despite being a good guy, just to prove he's not the father of Ms. Pope's 3-month-old son, Christian. He's adamant about his innocence in this baby drama. Ms. Pope and her mother are visibly frustrated, insisting Mr. Kennedy owns up since he played a part in the baby-making process. Mr. Kennedy throws a curveball, suggesting Ms. Pope might just be looking for a scapegoat for her baby daddy woes. And just when you think it's all simmering down, the pot's about to boil over in the next segment.
Mr. Kennedy, you claim to be a nice guy who was to make the tough decision to drag the defendant to court, prove you did not father her 3-month-old son, Christian.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Pope, you and your mother are that Mr. Kennedy denies paternity and refused to acknowledge your child. You say he laid down with you and now he has up and paid.
Yes, Your Honor.
You won't believe this. The plot thickens as they unpack the friends with benefits setup that never had any strings attached, or so Mr. Kennedy claims. Ms. Pope airs out some dirty laundry, revealing Mr. Kennedy wasn't the Prince Charming he initially seem to be. Fast forward, where he accuses her of not being over her ex, tossing another spicy meatball into the mix. Buckle up, because the revelations just keep rolling out.
No, we never did. It never had a chance to take off. We did get along in the beginning. He was a jerk, and I no longer wanted to be around that.
Why were you sleeping with him if he was a jerk?
He came off as an all-American guy in the beginning. We had a lot of things in common. We had the same football team.
That's enough to sleep with somebody, birthday and a football team. The bottom line is you all got along in the beginning.
The stakes are getting higher. Mr. Kennedy confesses he started ghosting Ms. Pope right when she needed him most, post-pregnancy announcement. He's backpedaling, recalling the murky details of the pregnancy news peppered with mentions of other potential daddies. Grab your popcorn, because the drama unfolds even more in the next chapter.
I found out that I was pregnant at 6 weeks. A cutie one morning and threw it up at work. I put the 2 and 2 together. It wasn't rocket science, and I knew that I was pregnant.
And Mr. Kennedy, do you remember when she told you she was pregnant?
Told me around May or June or July. At that point, she had said there were 2 other gentlemen, and I had asked her, could it potentially be mine? And she said, no, you're in the clear. So
things take a turn for the digital, where a Facebook message becomes Exhibit A. Ms. Pope had pinged Mr. Kennedy with a baby pic, which sparks a whole new level of paternity paranoia. As the judge scrolls through the messages, the courtroom feels more like a soap opera set. Don't touch that dial. The next moments are guaranteed to amp up the drama.
She tell you were the father?
Through Facebook, I got messages.
It is your testimony that she did not tell you, she didn't tell you anything about the pregnancy, anything. You didn't hear from her until the baby was born.
Yes,
I had messaged him the night that I went into labor.
Some message. I've been trying to get a hold of you. I want to call you and talk. Reply about. She replies, would you like to guess?
Cue the violins as Mr. Kennedy reflects on his personal visit to see the baby, searching for any sign of a family resemblance. He pledges his commitment to fatherhood, assuming the DNA stars align. Ms. Pope calls him out for his lackluster dad vibes, to which he retorts with tales of mixed signals. The emotional roller coaster is just getting started, so stay tuned for the climactic close.
6-hour trip out of my day to go up and actually see the child with my own eyes, just to make sure she was being truthful. I didn't get anything until after the child was born. For a while, trying to gather, anything, any kind of quirks that might relate him to myself or my other, find any similarities between him and I, and that was basically it. Went up mainly just to see the baby from my own eyes, just to make sure that this wasn't a ruse of some sort.
As they lay out their final arguments, both sides are throwing everything but the kitchen sink into the ring. Mr. Kennedy is all in for a paternity test, while Ms. Pope paints a picture of a roller coaster relationship ride. The judge sums up the saga, setting us up for a DNA result that promises to be a game changer. The suspense is real, folks.
And Ms. Pope, as much as I understand if he is not biological father, do you know where the other 2 gentlemen are?
Yes, Your Honor.
And would they want to be a part of Christian's life? Would they put themselves available to testing so that we can get this confirmed once and for all for this beautiful baby? It has been determined by this court. Mr. Kennedy, you are the father.